It was an art crime worthy of Hollywood.
The cast of characters was just unbelievable. You had, the Japan connection, you had the German connection, you had the Azerbaijan connection.
12 priceless drawings looted from a castle in Nazi Germany by a rampaging Soviet army seeking revenge.
Many of the drawings were nudes, and the soldiers were grabbing whatever they could get their hands on.
Hunted across 3 continents by mild-mannered curator turned art detective Anne Rova Khan.
She turned out to be a real hero in a sense, who played a role that I don't think any other curator has ever played.
A bizarre global drama of Russian socialites, Japanese businessmen, and undercover U.S. agents, which ended in a high-speed car chase through the heart of Manhattan.
Architecture is destroyed and borders are destroyed, countries are destroyed, but the art survives and always finds friends.
In the next hour, the fantastic journey of an art crime which circled the earth and took 50 years to crack. It was the spring of 1945, the closing days of World War II, and terrible things were about to happen at a castle near Berlin, Germany. Inside, Count Königsmarck and his mistress were terrified. Angry Russian troops were invading from the east, taking revenge for Nazi atrocities on Soviet soil. They were looting and destroying everything in their path.
There was a general fear of the Russians now, doing nothing but evil things, and the whole fatherland collapsing. The Count just thought that that was the end for him and for Germany, and there was nothing else to look forward to.
In a dusty room in the castle cellar, the Count took one last look at the treasures hidden there. Earlier in the war, one of Germany's greatest art collections was brought to the castle for safekeeping. Over 6,000 prints and drawings by the great masters, including famous sketches by Rembrandt, and one of the world's greatest drawings, Albrecht Dürer's Women in a Bathhouse. Today worth over $12 million, no other Dürer this valuable has been auctioned in over 50 years.
This was a drawing of a number of nude women in a bathing house, which had enormous importance historically. It's a very rare drawing and very famous.
Now the Women in a Bathhouse was imperiled. As the Russian troops forced open the castle doors, the Count and his mistress decided to take fate into their own hands.
The Count wasn't going to let up his castle to the conquering army, and his response was to row out onto the lake with his mistress.
They were going to commit suicide, dual suicide. The Count was successful, the mistress wasn't. The Russians ended up capturing her, and at gunpoint, she told them about the drawings in the basement of the castle.
Now the priceless collection was at the mercy of the Soviet army.
Most of the soldiers had no idea the value or the importance of the art that they had stumbled upon, but it became a free-for-all, and they started grabbing whatever they could get their hands on. Many of the artworks were nudes, drawings of naked women, and that's what they were most interested in. So they cut the figures off of the canvases and used them essentially as pin-ups on the military trucks and tanks.
But nobody knew if the soldiers had destroyed the priceless Women in a Bathhouse. After the war, a few unidentifiable fragments of the collection were found in the forest near the castle, but it seemed most of the artwork was lost forever. The original home of the collection was the Bremen Museum in Germany. Today, Dr. Anne Rova-Kahn is the curator of what's left of Bremen Museum's famous drawings. But Anne is no ordinary curator.